to Kicking It with Sensei, and today we're joined by Brandi Edmunds, a Taekwondo practitioner and sword expert. You're very welcome, Brandi.
Thank you very much. Don't know that I would call myself an expert. Definitely a practitioner.
Oh, well, from what I've heard from others now, you're quite talented at it. So
it's a weapon that I gravitated towards, and we were talking a little bit earlier about different weapons. When I started martial arts, I started in Taekwondo, and my instructor was very open to other arts and other forms. He wasn't just like, no, this is Taekwondo and that's all we're learning. He taught us Hapkido. He taught us anything and everything that he could get a hold of, because all the arts work together. That's what's so beautiful about martial arts. So of all the swords that I had done, sai, staff, kama, all the different things that we had done, sword was really something that I gravitated towards. So we had it as Black Belt Club, and we did it just once a month. And then we found another instructor that I was lucky enough to train under, and I was getting classes now twice a week.
yeah,
So that really changed the way that I saw the sword and everything. And I was introduced to a group in Bakersfield, Ramirez Sensei and Bakersfield Budo, who the dojo is still there, and they're just now reopening after COVID, which is wonderful. And that group belongs to the DNBK. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that organization out of Japan, the Dai Nippon Budokukai.
yeah,
It's a very old Japanese martial arts federation. So that is the organization that he's associated, and I have just recently applied to become a member so that I can go with them to Japan next year. And they go every 4 years, and they do Embu, which is demonstration, at the castle in Kyoto.
excellent, excellent. And what first got you interested in martial arts and towards Taekwondo?
Well, it's a very interesting story. I've always been an athlete, and I gained a lot of weight when I had kids. So I was just looking to get in shape. I wanted something to do where I could exercise, and I lived in this little town called Gardnerville out in the ranches. And there was a little martial arts school that I had seen on the local TV channel that was right around the corner from my house. And they said that's how most people start, is by whatever dojo's closest to them, whatever they have access to, right?
Yeah.
So I started going. The instructor is wonderful man from the Midwest. And so it was Northwest Martial Arts was the name of the place that I went to. And it was fun. I just went once a week, got some good exercise. And then the very first class, when they showed us how to break an arm and how easy it was to break an arm, I was hooked. I thought, oh my gosh, this is it for me. This is going to be so fun. So the instructor saw that I was having a little trouble paying. And so he gave me the blessing of cleaning the dojo in exchange for my lessons, which is very traditional, very old school. And I did that all the way to black belt.
Excellent.
And so during about my first 4 or 5 months was when, I was probably, not as past that because I was a blue belt. So it was my second year that I met sword.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you've trained in a lot of other arts as well. Do you think it's important to actually cross-train across other martial arts and sort of get a taste of everything and kind of develop your own system?
No, not necessarily develop your own system. It's one of the biggest things I learned about martial arts, or that martial arts taught me, was where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are. Yeah. And it's very, a lot of people get into martial arts with this attitude that, oh, I'm going to be, big and bad and everything. And that's definitely not me. I was in an accident when I was young. And so I have bad knees. I have bad back. My hips are out, all kinds of physical issues. I just needed it for the exercise portion, really. And I was able to modify almost everything to work for me. And it helped me get strong in so many areas, and areas that I like, I realized where I was really weak and things I needed to focus on. So that, for me, when you realize where you're weak, that's a strength. That's a strength, because now I'm much more patient with people. You hear the saying, you're a martial artist, I assume, correct?
Yeah.
What rank are you?
I was second dan black belt. So we've actually done in a system called Shinken Goshin-jitsu, but also hold a first dan in Japanese jiu-jitsu and various other ranks and other systems. But it's
Very similar to me. Very similar. I second degree in Taekwondo, first degree in Iaijitsu and sword, and various in other little things like Jojutsu or nunchucks, Aikido, different things like that as well. So you know that when you're cross, like you had asked about cross training, the more that you cross train, the more you learn what you can do and what works best for you. Since I can't run or anything of that nature, I've not been able to run since I got in the accident when I was 15. I have to learn how to stand and fight. So that's where I learned what my blessing is. And my dad always told me that a stick is a really good equalizer. So weapons have been in my life since I was young, and learning how to really use a weapon. I know now that I'm much older, if you have good technique, you don't need the strength. No. You don't need the strength. If you have good technique, I was training with a young lady, extremely strong. She's a power lifter. And I just pulled right out of every hold she had on me because she didn't have the technique. Yeah. And she kept saying, why am I so off balance? Well, how come you have me off? Like, because I'm doing it with the proper body mechanics. So it's a different thing. So you learn those body mechanics because your body operates way differently than mine does by trying different arts and different weapons. Professor McNeil, the cane master. Do you know why he's a cane master?
No, I don't actually.
He had polio as a child and he walked on canes, and he was challenged to start a weapon system to not let that be something that would hold you back, but let that be your strength. Yeah. Right? Take something that is a weakness and turn it into a strength. Now he can go everywhere carrying a cane. I see the man with the cane and I shiver. It's like, are you kidding? He can walk on an airplane like that. No one's going to look at him twice. He's just an old gentleman with a cane. But if you knew what he could do with that cane, right? So he took his weakness and turned it into a strength. Really interesting.
Excellent. And do you think a cane's actually a very good self-defense weapon in general?
A cane?
Yeah.
Was that absolutely, absolutely. Anything's a good self-defense. I had a gentleman that taught me how to defend myself with a Sharpie.
It sounds like something.
You can take a Sharpie anywhere.
Yeah.
Huh?
It sounds like something from John Wick movies. Absolutely. He killed a guy with a pencil, but
it works because it's kind of like a small tonfa if you look at it.
Definitely, definitely. And
you can get some good leverage on someone.
Yeah, excellent. And what do you think you've got out of training in martial arts outside of the dojo and life in general?
What have I gotten out of training the martial arts? Is that what you asked? Yeah. Oh my gosh, it has really helped put me back on a right path with many people. When I had a not really clean past, and I burned a lot of bridges and ruined a lot of relationships because of that. Yeah. And when I got into martial arts, I'm not quite sure what it did, but it made me want to have the desire to go back and fix those relationships. It helped me to have the confidence to go back and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake and I'm not that person anymore. Yeah. Will you forgive me? And then we can go on. And it really healed. It changed my entire life. It literally saved me. I was not on a good path. I was a single mom at the time. So it was an release of frustration and emotion. It was camaraderie with other adults. Yeah. It really was, it was so much. And the people that, I'm still friends with those people. So I started about 22 years ago was when I started.
Excellent. Yeah. I think it can be one of those life-changing things now. It's myself, even as a young teenager, I was always fighting. And whether it was in competition or out in the street, I was kind of going down a bad path, really. It was just, but I think then I discovered Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and that really kind of balanced me out. And I think now I'm a lot more into the history and philosophy and kind of but it's given me a lot of life skills such as patience, confidence, and things like that. And I think it is a game changer for life, really.
It really is. And, you know, I've been through a lot of physical challenges. I've just had my second knee replacement, and that didn't go in quite straight. So I have a bad back, and then they put the knee in a little bit crooked, which threw things off a little bit more. But through sword and through martial arts, I was starting to just do some wide stances and low blocks. You know, they told me, oh, no, you can't do anything. Okay, watch me. We can do, it's in our, there was a sign at the old dojo, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, definitely. definitely.
And so, yeah, don't tell me what I can't. That's not a challenge to me. I can't, really? I can't? Okay. Let's show me how I can. But it really has been a lifesaver. So right now, I'm seeing it as the surgery, because it went bad. They said my recovery time went from 3 months to now 1 year.
Yeah.
And so that 1 year is going to be up at the end of May. So I'm technically still in the recovery period, but I'm swinging my sword already. And I'm, like I said, I'm doing low blocks, wide stances, getting my body mechanics. Once you learn, martial arts teaches you how to move your body, how to control your body. Yeah. And have you noticed how fast your reflexes are since you've started martial arts? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I started very young, so it was kind of, I think I've never really had anything to compare it to. I've always had kind of quick reflexes. I think I first started when I was 8. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
I boxed for a few years, kickboxed then through my teens and done jiu-jitsu and right through my 20s. And so it's something that's always been a part of my life growing up. But what do you think first drew you to the sword as opposed to other weapons?
What do I think is, what about the sword? I'm sorry, the phone's cutting a little bit. I think it's the distance between here and Ireland.
What do you think first drew you to the sword as opposed to other weapons?
It is about compassion. For one thing, it's the coolest weapon ever. If you see someone that knows what they're doing in person with an Iaijitsu, which looks like it's sharp, but it's not. It's a practice sword. They're the ones with the flat blade. Someone draw that from the saya and do a noto, put it away. It is one of the most graceful things you've ever seen. Yeah. And it's just like, wow. You think it's sharp in your mind. You think it's sharp in that, and it's not. But anyway, you can do that. When we train with it, we treat it as if it is sharp, right? So that's what kind of drew me to it, was just that it's so much more involved than any other weapon. Any other weapon, like eskrima sticks, the Filipino eskrima, they're sticks, right? And you do certain things with the sticks. The bow staff, it's a staff, and you do certain things with the staff. The sword is more of an extension of yourself. Once you pull it out of the saya, it's more like, this is me, and my intent is to go home alive.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it's to do it in the most compassionate way that I can to end this struggle going on right now with the least amount of effort. It's not glitzy, it's not glamorous. I hear so many teenagers say to me, oh, I want to take your class. It's just like Fortnite. I get, no, it's not like Fortnite. You won't like it at all. Yeah. It's very personal. When you draw, you imagine your opponent, you think of what's happening, you have a physical reaction as you're going through these motions, thinking, I just killed someone that's not going on. And you too? Yeah. You know, it's much more than just a weapon.
Definitely. And,
it's one thing that I really love now, I'm sorry, I'll let you ask your question, but what I love about it so much now is it's a 450-year-old art, the particular style that I do, and it's been handed down from generation to generation. That's how we've passed it on. So now it's my generation's turn to find another generation to pass it to.
Definitely.
So that's what we're in the process of right now, is just trying to, you know, just show people, like, you're interested in sword, I'll find you someone that might be interested to show you that's in your area. If it's something you like, you will love it. Yeah. You'll get to come to Japan with us one day.
Oh, hopefully. And that's a place I always wanted to go, but never got the opportunity. But do you think there is a lot of people getting very interested in swords in the recent years?
I think people are interested. If they fall in love with the history, they're going to fall in love with the art, because that thing means that they would have a heart to understand what it's really about. Yeah. One thing that's not our challenge, but our blessing to get to do, is to relate the art that we have, which is like any martial art, relate the ancient art that we have to a world today. How is it still relevant today? What the samurai did so many years ago, right? How is it relevant? Well, the ethics that they taught, the way that they lived, those things are still alive in Japan today. the way that people live, their bushi, their lives, their honesty, their integrity. They don't hurt each other. They don't steal from each other. There's no looting in Japan. When Fukushima happened, there was no looting. People fed each other and cared for each other. Here in America, are you kidding me? The power goes out and it's crazy. People are all for themselves, and it's certainly not like that. So such a beautiful legacy that they've left.
It is. You can even see it on demonstrations now. If you watch any other weapon, I've mentioned the sai earlier, and everything's very kind of sharp and quick, and whereas the sword's very, very sort of soulful, and everything's done very slow, and it's almost like moving meditation rather than kata or anything like that. And
Right.
do you think you need to have that kind of stillness within you to use a sword?
I think the sword will teach you the stillness, because I certainly have never had that. That's not my personality. I'm like, go, go, go. I'm more Taekwondo instructor, go, go, go. But it certainly brings it out in a person. It teaches you that stillness. It makes you want to find that, to share that kind of like strength with other people around you, because that's really what it gives you, the strength and confidence.
And
cool.
You've mentioned earlier that you've trained in various martial arts, but is there any martial art out there that you haven't tried yet and you'd love to give a go and venture into it?
Anything I'd like to try? Nothing that I probably physically could try. Back years ago when I worked as a full-time martial arts instructor, we used to go to the martial arts super shows down in Las Vegas. And you could draw, it was the World Martial Arts Super Show. So everyone gathered there at 4th of July when it was 120, because that's the best time to go to Las Vegas. And you could pick from all these different master instructors and take their classes. So I was taking classes from people like Hoist Gracie. He himself taught the class in jiu-jitsu. And I've done, there was another wrestling gentleman, I don't remember him, but he just had these huge cauliflower ears. I remember master instructors, Frank Shamrock, I took a class from him. So I was able to try, by going through that, I was able to try so many different things. Jet Li's uncle taught me how to do a fan dance.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's quite unusual now. You wouldn't see much of the fan, but
no.
But
it was so neat. It was like a 45-minute fan class. Just jump in, get on the mats, here you go. And then you're done and go off to your next class. So I don't even know. I mean, I've thrown knives. I've done all of it. If I could do anything, I think I would one that I would like to do a little bit more is the Jo staff, because that's the partner to the sword. Are you familiar with the Jo?
I've actually got one right here.
Oh, do you? Oh, good. So that is, you train with it quite often since it's close.
I've all my weapons close here. I've actually got my katana here as well.
Oh, do you? Let me see. Oh, nice. It's so clean.
It is. It's razor sharp.
Oh, is it?
Okay. I don't actually train with it much. I actually ordered that about 6 years ago and didn't actually look at the blade when I was ordering it, and came back sharp. So I couldn't actually train with it much.
Well, I'll show you mine if you want.
But I actually mentioned
I'll show you mine if you'd like.
Yeah.
This is, I bought this years and years and years ago. And my sensei, Ramirez sensei, was kind enough to rewrap the handle.
Yeah.
So he put a battle wrap on there for me, so that your hands don't get worn out. So this is the makuge. He put that in a place where my one hand goes here, the other one's here. So it's wrapped so you can hold it all day and it won't hurt your hands. Yeah. Before, it was all this diamond all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's old and has been through some battle, but it is not sharp. Has a really nice, probably needs to be cleaned. I was just training with it. Keep it close up.
Yeah. Very nice.
It's a nice weight as well. It's not too heavy for me. And then I have a brand new one that my husband just got for me from Japan. They made it for me, but it's a little big for my hand, so I'm a little bit. It's too bad.
I ordered that one, as I said, a few years ago now, and couldn't train with it much because it was sharp. And I was actually using a bokken one night in the dojo and teaching the kids class. And the next week, one of the kids came in with a mini bokken that his dad had made him to suit him better. And I actually liked it. And his father actually came in the following week with one for me.
Oh,
so they actually,
how nice.
So it was very nice, but it's the exact same measurements as my own katana. So the two of them are the same.
Wow. That's awesome.
So it was a nice gesture from the student now, but it was...
Definitely. What a blessing.
And technology's been playing a big part during COVID here at the minute too. And do you think it's important to keep technology involved in martial arts in the future?
Absolutely. We have we being the sword group that I'm a part, that I belong to, we meet once a month and we do samurai happy hour. So it's everyone, it's a certain time that we all get on a Zoom meeting, and it's everyone in the United States. Once a month, it's international. So we have people from Wales. We have people, I believe we have somebody in Scotland. I'll have to double check, but they're from all over that we meet. So it is so encouraging, especially in this time when we've all been separated, to know that just because we're separate doesn't mean we're apart. We are still part of each other's lives. It still is important what we're doing. Don't ever lose hope. You have friends that, it's really important. I'm actually training on via Zoom to do some classes to brush up on my Iaijitsu before I go to Japan. It's because there's nobody here in Reno where I am that trains in this style.
Yeah.
So it really I think it can really promote, and perhaps for some people, they're not going to feel comfortable coming back in person. Yeah. So this would be a way to continue to keep those people involved.
Definitely.
So yeah, I really do think it can be. I'm not really good at technology, but you younger guys are really good at it.
I'm getting better at it slowly, but it's actually had somebody message me during the week saying that they just discovered my YouTube channel, and they watched the first few videos, and they said they could see the progression over the last 6 months. They could see it was just straight on the interviews at the start, and they said then the introduction started coming on wee video clips at the start before the interview, and now the thumbnails are starting to come together. But it's
good job.
It's
good job.
I suppose it's a learning curve for everyone, and it's kind of it's caused a lot of creativity within martial arts, because we can't train physically, and instructors are having to get a lot more creative, especially the longer the pandemic goes on. They've run out of their easy ideas at the start, and now they're having to be more creative and think out of the box a bit. But
yes, the docheng, because it's Taekwondo, the docheng that I belong to in Gardnerville, where I've done Taekwondo, I still go down and do black belt testing for Master Niles, and we do it every 6 months. So during the pandemic, it was purely via Zoom. And so he would email us the scoring sheets and the technique sheets so we would know what we were looking at, print those out and have them at the Zoom meeting, and then we would spend the whole day doing black belt testing via Zoom. I'm actually going next week. I'm going to be one of the few that gets to go in person to be in the dojo for black belt testing, and then everyone else will be via Zoom. So it's good so these kids can still test. There's a generation of kids who are getting things taken away from them, and they need some things given back.
Yeah,
there's kids that didn't get to walk for graduation, and
Yeah, that's it. Now my daughter, she wanted to get her black belt before going to college, and because of the lockdown, she's going to miss her next 2 belt tests, and it's just going to put everything back by 18 months. So
oh my gosh, it's 18 months is a long time.
We've been closed 14 months now, and we've no sign of opening yet, just with government restrictions. So, but it doesn't look like she'll quite get it on time. But the only thing is, she'd be more than ready for it. So even if she's up at a weekend, we can put her through a testing. But it's put a lot of students back, because as I said, 18 months is a very long time to be closed.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like starting from scratch when we do reopen, but
Sure.
it's
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. We've got Zoom classes and we've got YouTube and we've got
That and there's the good part, right? So you are really making technology work. That's exactly what I was saying, as opposed to just everybody not having the hope. That's a horrible story about your daughter. You know, I hope that she's able to get that one way or another.
oh, she will do now. It's just it helps that her instructor's sitting at home with her, so it really helps.
That is true.
It
Yeah.
definitely
Good for
helps
you.
now. But what advice would you give young students start out in martial arts?
You know, when I first walked into the dochang, I'll tell you what kept me going. There was a sign on the wall where we would put our shoes, and it said, "A black belt is just a white belt who never quit."
Definitely.
And so when you get in there and you don't quit, that's what I would say. It's going to be hard, and you're going to get hurt, and you're going to walk out of there some days saying, "I'm never going back there again." But
Yeah.
ride through that and go back, because it is always, always worth it. Always. Don't ever quit.
Oh, you'll always go back. I know I took a 3-year gap out, and I actually went to start my kids in their first class, and went down. As soon as I walked in, the instructor who I trained along with for years seen me, and the following week we started a new senior class, and that was me back. We didn't actually have an adult class in that dojo at the time, but when I walked in, they said, "There's the first adult," and that was it. The following week, it was started. So,
and I've noticed that there's two kinds of people that come to martial arts classes. There are people who do martial arts, and then there are martial artists. And the martial artists are the ones that when they start talking about martial arts, they get all excited, and you can't really slow them down.
yeah.
Those are the ones that you're like, okay, it's in your blood. You love it. You understand the benefit, the camaraderie, everything, the life skills that it can build, the health benefits, the mental, physical, emotional, all of that. And then there are the people that say, "Oh, I'd hate to meet you in a dark alley." I don't go to dark alleys. Those are dangerous. You know, they don't understand.
Yeah.
They just don't understand what it's about. I mean, why would I go hang out in a dark alley?
Yeah, I've heard
the
that
best
so many
self-defense
times.
in the world is to not be there. That's what I teach the kids always. Best self-defense, don't be there. If a punch is coming, don't be there.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a bad situation to start with. But if you end up there, then do this, but don't be there. Right? Have you not learned that?
Yeah, I've heard that. I'd hate to meet you in a dark alley so many times. I always think martial artist is the least likely person to actually fight with you.
Exactly. We're probably going to help you if you're in the dark alley. Yeah, but they don't understand that. People don't understand that. Oh, you want to fight? No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
Definitely. And finally, what does the future hold for yourself?
Well, I'm extremely excited about my future because I have been invited to go to Japan to do Embu in Kyoto. And I want to work on my skill level so that I can honor my instructors and everyone who's poured so much time and effort into me throughout the years. Because it's been, you said you took 3 years off, it's been 10 years since I've done sword. Yeah. Then I picked it up right before I had my knee replacement, which was about 1.5 years ago. So, but I went 10 years without swinging a sword. Oh. And so the last 2 years I've been back into it, took some time off for the surgery. And now I'm so excited just to reach out and touch whoever teachers that I can, whatever, I'm ready to go. Yeah. I'm ready to go. So the future for me for martial arts, I think, is going to be challenging because I need to get to the next level. So for myself physically to recover, but it's going to be so rewarding because I'm going to be able to work with some amazing people and learn things, and help others, and then share what I've learned with others. That's part of my black belt oath. When I got my very first black belt, that was what we said to everybody, that I will share what I've learned with others. And that's where I am now, because I'm old, I'm a grandma, and I want to share what I know for the next generation.
Definitely. And you said you took a 10-year gap out there. When you lifted the sword again, did you feel like it all came back to you very quickly?
Every single time you pick up your sword, for me anyway,
Yeah.
if I train 2, 3, 5 times a week, every time I pick it up, you have to knock the rust off.
Yeah.
Every single time you pick it up. Sensei, Shimabukuro Sensei used to say that learning to swing the sword is like learning to eat with a pitchfork. That's what Sensei used to say. It is absolutely not natural. It doesn't feel normal. So every time you pick it up, it's a little bit creaky, and then it starts to flow. The longer you go, the longer that creakiness lasts. So if you don't train for 10 years, then it takes 25 minutes, 30 minutes for it to come back, but it always does come back.
Yeah.
It is very interesting because it's muscle memory. And once you relax yourself and you get back into that calm place, the muscles are there to remember. But it takes longer. So every day is the best.
It definitely does. I know after my 3 years off now, I lifted a set of size and it was gone. But very, very quickly, I say maybe I was playing them for about 15 minutes and I started to get the wee flips back, and I'd say maybe after half an hour it was back, but it was just getting the rust off.
Exactly, getting the rust off. Yeah. And the confidence back that, oh, I do know how to do this. I do. Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
Excellent. It was a pleasure speaking with you today, Brandi.
Oh, you as well. Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you. I hope to see you again.
Hopefully someday I'll be in Kyoto with you. And
yes, that'd be a great place to meet.
Yeah.
We typically go every 4 years, and my desire was to go in 2024 because I knew by then I felt by then I could be prepared and ready physically. But with COVID, they weren't allowed to go in 2020. So they moved it to 2022, which means the next trip is until 2026. So they said, don't wait that long, just come with us now. I'm like, oh, I don't know that I'm ready, but I'll do my best, right? I'll do my best.
That's it, and all the best with it.
What it's about. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. And